In my video that I had released a week prior to this one, I had gone over why I had quit my business, like what was the final straw that made me quit my business. In this one, I wanted to go over what I would have changed if I would have stayed in business, because the one I was running, I just feel like was not sustainable long term. So number one, I would have stopped growing it for a bit. So my problem was I was often cash flow poor. So as soon as I would get a chunk of money in my account that I knew I could invest into a new type of product or a new line of product, let's say a whole new line of the thread I was selling on my website, I would put all that money into that new set of thread. So I had a lot of inventory and I had a lot of money in inventory, but there often wasn't a lot of money in my bank account. And I actually didn't get most of the money out of the business until I fully closed it down. Number two, I definitely would have raised shipping prices. So I had my shipping prices pretty low because I was trying to get a bunch of new customers in, and I knew that low shipping price would help get the customers. And I was really trying to compete with other cross-stitch stores. So mine was $3.17 for standard shipping. If you hit over $30, then you got free standard shipping. Then for priority mail or UPS ground, it was $7.97. And then if someone spent over $150, they could choose the priority mail or UPS for free. And with those prices, I often was paying more on my end. And since my items were such low cost items, so a lot of these threads were maybe $2.50 or $4 to $5 for someone to buy, it would really eat into what I was making off of those products. And then number three, I would have raised some of my prices. So again, I was trying to really get new customers in, so I was having my prices quite low just to compete with other stores. Now I feel like I offered a few extras on my site, and the way I packaged items, there was more packaging that went into it, and I think a lot of the customers did appreciate that. So then I think many of the customers I had would be okay paying a little bit more compared to other sites to have my service. Because even on the fabric, I would serge the edges of all the fabric just so it wouldn't fray on the customers. Some customers I know don't really care whether or not they're serged, but a lot of them did care. So if they came to me, I took that little extra time to serge the fabric. And then also, I feel like the shopping experience on my website, since I took all my own photos, was better than a lot of other sites. Granted, a lot of other sites did have parts that were better than my site. So if the customer really appreciated the photos, I would hope they'd be willing to pay a little bit more to buy from my site versus running off to a different one right away when the prices go up a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean maybe a couple percent in profit margin, which would maybe be 10 to 20 cents on a lot of the items. And then number four, I would work on trying to create my own products that I could have really good margins on for the long term. So I was starting to do this some towards the end. I had bought an embroidery machine and I was trying out selling some apparel on my site. Now that never really took off, but I really didn't have the time to dedicate to advertising the shirts properly. The people that bought them really did like them, but there really wasn't time for word of mouth to spread about people really liking the shirts. And I probably would have looked into creating a stitching frame or something like that. Ideally, I would create something that I could wholesale to other stores if I want to in the future, but if I sold it on my own site, I would have a really good margin. And then I wasn't going to put this fifth point in this video, but I'm just going to add it, that I would have hopefully been able to find more time to create more content. I feel like the more you're spread around on the internet, the more people can discover you and then come to your site without you having to spend a lot of extra money on ads or something like that. So just to very quickly recap, I would have slowed down a little bit, that way I'd have better cash flow. 2, I would have raised my shipping prices. 3, I would have raised my product prices. 4, I would have worked on creating products that I made myself and had really good margin. And then 5, I would have tried to create more content to be spread around more on the internet. And I feel like a lot of these could have worked just because I had already gotten thousands and thousands and thousands of customers from the years I was doing the business. And so I had acquired them with the low-ish prices, but I wasn't advertising myself as the lowest store. And then as I would raise stuff up a little bit, I know quite a few of the customers would stay, and I would maybe have to pack less orders and make more money than I was already making. Or if I had to pack more orders or the same amount of orders, I would hope that I'm making enough more that I could hire someone in to help me either pack orders or help with content or something like that, or at least really make it that I could afford a bigger space for my business.